The South Australian government says it's taken the unprecedented step of releasing the costings of the Liberal Party's election promises 5 days ahead of the state election, and it's calling on the opposition to do the same. Live to Sky News reporter Joel Philp. Joel, what do we know about the spending commitments of both major parties so far?
Well, for one thing, Danica, we know that the Liberal Party is done with their spending commitments for this election campaign. They announced today their costings, in which they said there was about $288 million worth of new campaign commitments. And also there's a significant amount of money that they've weaved into previous budget updates, which totals about $988 million worth of election commitments from the Liberal Party so far. They say when it comes to some of that new spending that they'll be reducing the salaries of executives within the government to try to pay for that money. And they say they made this announcement a little bit earlier because of the pandemic, people are going to pre-polling and voting early, so they wanted the public to have a broader understanding about their party's commitments. They are calling on the opposition to do the same, and they did so while actually holding up and throwing on the floor $3 billion notes with Peter Malinowskis' head on the front. A bit of a political stunt there to make their point. This is what the Treasurer had to say.
What we're saying to Peter Malinowskis is put up or shut up. There's $3 billion of promises you've made. Nearly 100,000 people have voted already, and you're refusing to say how you're going to fund $3 billion in promises. This is an unprecedented move for a government almost a week before the election.
The opposition leader today was at a rally with Labor supporters, vowing to continue to fight to win votes all the way up until the vote itself on Saturday. And he was asked when the Labor Party would be releasing his costings. He says that that'll be done on Thursday, but that at that point in time, voters will get an understanding of how that $3 billion will be paid for. Here he is.
I mean, here they are announcing their budget impact, throwing money around like it's confetti, in some pathetic stunt that really doesn't speak to a treasurer that's retiring gracefully. I mean, after 40 years of being in the state parliament and delivering the state the biggest debt on record by a very substantial margin, one would have thought that Rob Lucas would want to retire with just a degree of dignity.
Peter Malinowskis taking a shot at the retiring Treasurer, Rob Lucas there. And of course, the Shadow Treasurer will be making the announcements for the Labor Party on Thursday. But in the meantime, at that rally, a candidate for SA Best came to speak to the media, and he says that both parties are spending too much money.
My prediction is you're going to see a reverse Robin Hood in South Australia. And that reverse Robin Hood is going to affect small business, it's going to affect families, working people in the state, and none of this has been taken into account. So we won't be voting for any tax increases.
So at this stage of the election campaign, it has all become about spending commitments. But I've been told that former Prime Minister John Howard will be heading to Adelaide this week and offering his support to Stephen Marshall, the Premier, and that he'll possibly be heading out with him as early as tomorrow. Danica?
OK, not long to go now. Joel, thank you.